Okay, hello and welcome. I hope you can hear me. Can you please put a plus in the chat box if you can? And we're going to start in about a minute. So the topic of our live stream today is new IELTS speaking questions of the current season. Okay, so I see there are 3 people watching now, and I hope some more are going to appear in a second. So you can participate during the live stream. You can ask your questions. We can also brainstorm ideas together. So yeah, I'll be looking at the chat box from time to time. So I'm just sending one more notification for all potential participants, and we're about to start. So where do these topics come from? So like, this is actually secret information, so it's closed information. And how do we receive it? The fact is that there are 3 million people taking IELTS all over the world. Okay, Elizaveta, thank you. I can see your plus. And they report what kind of questions they have. So these questions well, are collected by various tutors in different applications on different websites. And as a result, so we know the topics for the current season. So the season is from January till April, then from May till August, and from September till December. Okay, so now we're going to deal with the topics that are really fresh. They just appeared. I'm going to, well, to share with you some vocabulary and ideas how you can answer these questions, and then you can use them in your during your speaking test. Okay, if you have any questions or if you have anything to add to what I'm saying, please write this in the chat box. So there, yeah, and I can probably answer this question or something like this. Now, if you want to receive the full list of the speaking questions of the current season, I will now post a link so you can, yeah, if you still don't have the list of questions, you can just get it from the link. So by clicking the link. Okay, so the first topic that we're going to discuss, this is part 1, and the topic is special costumes. So in IELTS speaking, every season there will be 30 part 1 questions. Okay, so this is just one of them. And actually in speaking part 1, you will have 2 topics. So I believe the possibility of receiving this topic is about 6% in part 1. Okay, so it's worth preparing it. By preparing, I don't mean learning or writing complete answers. So what you need to do is, sorry, what you need to do is just to prepare some advanced vocabulary and some ideas which you can use to answer the questions. So talking about special costumes. So for example, you can use this collocation, fancy dress costumes. Okay, or maybe you will mention carnivals also. Okay, so do you like to wear special costumes? So it's better here not to repeat. Well, a typical mistake that many candidates make is that they say, when they are asked, do you like to wear special costumes? They sometimes answer, oh yes, I like wearing special costumes. So basically what you do is that you just repeat the keywords in the question. So instead of repeating keywords in the question, it's better to paraphrase them. So can you write in the chat box, what are some of the synonyms for the word like? So instead of I like, what can you say? Okay, well, you can write your options. There's probably a delay of about 30 seconds. So you will see my answer a bit later. So some synonyms for I like that I can recommend is I am fond of, or I am keen on. Okay, so I'm keen on wearing special costumes. You can use just a little bit of humor, and you can say, well, for example, when we celebrate Halloween, then evil costumes, they enable me to safely and even creatively express my dark side without guilt. So something like this. Then for special costumes, there is another word, to dress up. Well, I'm really fond of dressing up. So to dress up means to wear something something unusual. All right. So you can also say that if you wear special costumes, then it enables me to unwind, to recharge my batteries. And for example, this takes me out of my everyday routine. If you have any other ideas of how you can, any other expressions or ideas that you can use to answer this question, please write this in the chat box. Okay, so I can see Karina, keen on. Okay, fancy. Yes, Natalia, that's a good one. Karina, it is preferable. Be eager to do something. Okay, great. Yeah, so these words are also possible. Okay, so the next question. Did you try any special costumes when you were young? Now, when you talk about being young or being a child, so if you're a very small child, maybe it's not applicable in this particular question, but you can, well, you can do it when you talk about your childhood in another topic. So I'll just share these expressions here. So when I was a child, when I was young or younger, because some of you are probably 18 or 19, so you're still young. And then when you were younger means when you were a child. And if you're a really small child, again, maybe it's not really applicable to this question, but you can use it in other topics. You can say in my toddlerhood. So toddler, that's a really small child who's learning how to walk. That's quite an advanced word, toddlerhood. Or you could say when I was knee-high to a grasshopper. So that's an idiom for a child, which is not very common, but well, sometimes, probably not here. Again, in this particular question, it might be not very well, not very natural to say so, but in some other questions, it might be a nice one. When I was knee-high to a grasshopper. Okay, so if there are any other ideas that you can that you want to use, please write them in the chat box. From time to time, I also look at the chat. Okay, so right, then you can mention some kind of a carnival or a Halloween party, or maybe there was a themed birthday party which you visited, or you can invent one. Or maybe there is a fancy dress party which you attended, and there could be some kind of a special costume of a, I don't know, ninja or clown or vampire or Spider-Man or whatever that you had to wear. Or maybe there was one of my American friends who told me that when he celebrated Halloween, the easiest costume was the costume of a mummy. Right, like Egyptian mummy in pyramids, you know. So he just took some toilet paper and rolled it around himself, and the costume was ready. So well, you can also mention this type of story. Okay, if you have any other ideas or any other useful expressions here, please write them in the chat box. Okay, so when was your last time to wear special costumes? So when you answer this question, you can use for grammatical range and accuracy, I would recommend that you use modal verb with perfect infinitive. It will sound like this. It must have been around or about or approximately some time ago. Now, you can use it, of course, in many different questions, including in part 2. When you tell a story in part 2, you can say, well, I'm going to tell you about the story, blah, blah, blah. And this story might have happened around, or must have happened around some time ago, like a fortnight ago. Here's a good word, a fortnight. It means 2 weeks. And this is an advanced lexical item. So you kind of kill two birds with one stone. So not only do you use an advanced grammar structure, but you also use an advanced word. So it must have been around a fortnight ago. Or you can say it must, if it's not very applicable to your situation, then you can just say it must have been around 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It was on New Year's Eve last night, or when I was knee-high to a grasshopper or whatever. Okay. So Natalia, adolescence and adolescent. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's also a good word. It's a much older person. So and if you are in your mid-20s or mid-30s or whatever, you can just mention this period of your life. Thank you. That's a very good word. Okay. So do you ever buy special costumes? Okay, so you could just say that instead of buying them, you always rent them. It's just an idea. There is nothing special in this expression. Just if you don't know what to say, you can say, well, never do I buy these costumes. I always rent them. Or you could say that if you make costumes from scratch, it's from the very beginning, it enables you to have full control over how the final product fits, looks and feels. And if you never want to, and here's an expression, to buy a pig in a poke. Now, I am aware that native speakers don't often use this expression, but this is IELTS. Well, my position here is that, you're required to use less common and uncommon lexical items. I used this idiom myself talking about online shopping at an exam, and I scored a 9. So, well, I believe this is, you can use such idioms, even if in real life they're not used very often, but that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to use uncommon lexical items, and this is like an idiom, right? So yeah, it's also very useful if you talk about shopping online. You can say, well, do you like shopping online? And you can say, no, I try to stay away from this whenever it might be feasible, because not only is the refund policy unclear to me, but I'm also afraid of buying a pig in a poke. Okay, so this is the type of language that can be used. Well, again, this is my position, but I also know that native speakers, especially Americans, don't use this idiom much. All right, then don't even understand it, but it exists. Right. Now, if there are any other ideas, please feel free to write them to acquire, Karina. Acquire, what is it applicable to? Like, which question is that? Was it to wear special costumes when you were young? Okay, so the next topic that is going to be used this season is advertising. Right, so advertising, and you can use some special expressions like maybe to launch a campaign, to launch an advertising campaign. So it can be for any type of advertising. So to launch advertising campaign, or there is a nice expression. It's word of mouth advertising. Yeah, this is when somebody recommends you, some customers recommend you. Word of mouth advertising is quite advanced. Or you could say target audience. There are many lexical items that can be used as topical vocabulary for advertising. If you know any, also please write them in the chat box. What else can I say? Yeah, so to launch a campaign, word of mouth advertising, target audience. Yeah, and there are some people who really believe everything in what they see in advertising. So you can say to take something for granted. Or you could say to take something at face value. So it means you don't you don't use critical thinking. You just believe what you see in advertising, or anywhere actually. To take something for granted, or to take something at face value. That's a useful one, because we all say that we are independent. I mean, advertising does not influence us. But for example, when I discuss this topic with my students, well, I remember like in previous years, I also was teaching business English or general English, and my students said, "Oh, I'm really independent." And then I usually just ask them, what razor do you use for shaving? And you know, all of them said Gillette. So Gillette, the best a man can get. But still, we think that we are not influenced by advertising. Okay, Julia, hello. Annoying pop-ups. Okay, yeah, that's great. Karina, acquire, a synonym of to buy. Yeah, and another synonym is to purchase also. So you can also say to purchase. All right. So then, where can we see about pronunciation, by the way. In British English, you pronounce it advertisements, and American English, you pronounce it advertisements. So it's up to you. Both of these pronunciations are possible in IELTS, so they're both acceptable. So is there much advertising in your country? So you can see you're exposed to advertising messages wherever you might go. Yeah, so here's exposed to advertising messages wherever you might go. Okay, again, I don't recommend you to memorize your answers. All you need to do is just remember some interesting vocabulary and some ideas. You know, sometimes the questions are tricky both in part 1 and part 2, and especially in part 3. Okay, so you can also say that there is no place beyond, of course, this is an exaggeration, but it's like kind of a metaphor. There is no place beyond the reach of advertising. Okay, or you could say that advertisements are ubiquitous. Here's a good word. Yeah, ubiquitous, or they plaster. Maybe you can say the whole city or urban areas or something like this. So they plaster, let's say, urban areas. Okay, where you can see advertisements. So again, you probably will be asked just one of these 3 questions. Is there much advertising in your country? Where can you see advertisements? What advertising do you have in your country? So, well, either this or that one. And you can also say, yes, you can see them in the city. They also constantly pop up on the screen of a computer. Yes, they clutter up the internet also. All right, and then, yeah, if you have anything else to add, please write it in the chat box. Okay, Julie, I can see that it's ubiquitous. Then what else? Be hoodwinked by the marketing strategies maneuvering. Okay, that's great. That's really nice. It's something like band 8. Oh, so sorry, band 9. Yeah. All right. Okay, so the next one. What advertising do you have in your country? So yeah, by the way, we can also say that we are swamped with ads, or bombarded by ads, or bombarded by marketing messages. Okay, swamped with ads. What advertising do you have in your country? Well, and you could mention different leaflets, brochures, direct mail, word of mouth advertising. This is where you can use this this expression. Probably I would recommend to mention hoardings and billboards. Okay, it's because you can see them all around the city. Corporate sponsorship, product placement, and so on. So anything that you know, if you know any other types, please also mention them. Now, how do you feel about advertisements? Okay, so if you want, again, I'll give you a lexical item that probably is not, might be not applicable here. Maybe you will not want to use it here, but if you're very angry, if you're furious, you can use this expression. I am livid with wrath. So both of these words are quite advanced. It means you're very angry. Okay, but here you will probably say something like that you either like or dislike them. You can say, I just take them for granted. Yeah. I don't mind seeing all those ads. And particularly, do you like advertisements on TV? So here's what you can say. You try not to pay attention to this. So you can say, I simply try to tune out. Okay, let me have a look at the chat box. Videos go viral. Yeah, Julia, there's another good expression. Go viral. Thank you. Okay, so you can say that. You can also say that these advertisements are, let's say, unbearable. Unbearable. Okay, they make me annoyed or irritated. I'm fed up with them. I can't stand them. Right. Or you could say that, for example, do we have, if we're talking about advertising on the internet, you can say that the most valuable content is buried under a heap of ads. Okay, so do you like advertisements on TV? So you can either say that you like it or dislike it, and you can also use synonyms for like or dislike, like, well, I'm really keen on them, or I can't stand them, I can't bear them. Or you can say that ads are an annoyance between plot twists in shows and films. Okay. So what do you think is the purpose of advertising? You can probably say that the purpose of advertising, that's to, of course, to increase or to boost or to enhance sales. Let's say to boost sales. Or you could say to ramp up sales. Okay. Then to establish a brand, to increase the demand, to expand markets, to build brand awareness, to inform customers, to launch or to introduce a new product to the market. Maybe you can also use this word to disseminate information about your products. So to disseminate information. Or you could also say to highlight the benefits of your product or service. To highlight the benefits. If you know any other expressions, please write them also. So you want to make customers more drawn towards the company, or you want to change customers' attitude to a product or service. Okay, so, and yeah, there's another, like for brand recognition. So brand awareness, brand recognition. Okay. Do you think advertising plays a very important role in today's world? Well, I think you will say yes, most likely, but if you want to say no, you can come up with your own ideas. If you want to paraphrase important role, so maybe there's a good, a pivotal role would be quite a nice word. And why do you think companies advertise themselves or their products? The list of ideas is the same, so you probably will. Why do you think it's the purpose, and why do you think companies advertise themselves? So you will either get this question or this question. You probably won't get both questions at your exam. And so even if you do, you'll probably use a couple of ideas here and a couple of expressions, a couple of these expressions here. Okay. So that's the topic of advertising. Let me see if there are any other commentaries. Okay. Okay, Julia, promote something as a must-see and have or do entity. Okay, great, thank you. So the next topic is flowers. Okay, so, well, I always recommend my students to memorize a few names of trees, flowers, food that are really advanced, so they're really uncommon. Maybe fish, meat, also, well, trees and flowers, things like that, because you can always mention them in many different topics. Okay, so let's brainstorm types of flowers. I think for women it's a bit easier than for men. Yeah, so the just what flowers do we know in English? So maybe the ones that come to my mind, that will be like carnations, tulips, roses. That's too simple. Lily of the Valley. I don't remember. Like morning glory. I seem to have forgotten. Okay, so maybe you can use some collocations with flowers like pot flowers or a potted plant. Then some topical vocabulary would be to bloom, to blossom, or to fade. A bunch of flowers or a bouquet of flowers, then petals and leaves. You probably will want to describe them, depending on, yeah, also here, chrysanthemum. Luckily, you don't have to spell it during a speaking test. You just need to say that. Chrysanthemum. Okay. Sunflower, poppy. Yeah, also. Okay. So, okay, Julia, there is a delay of at least 30 seconds, so I can see your commenters a bit later. To whet the appetites of potential customers. Yeah, that's a great one. Okay, now I can see poppies. Okay. Right. Then, what flowers have special meaning in your country? Oh my goodness, I don't really know. So I would probably have to invent something. I don't even know, like, what flowers have special meaning in your country. If I had such a question like this, I would just select a random flower that I remember, like tulip. I would say that it's like a symbol of life. It symbolizes life and, I don't know, eternity in my country. So I don't even know if you know any flowers that have a special meaning in Russia. Please type this in the chat box. But yeah, you could say something like it. This flower symbolizes the unity of the universe, or a wreath made of, let's say, poppy flowers is a symbol of virginity, or whatever. It's a symbol of youth and beauty. Some flowery words you can use, and then but this question is really hard to think of some ideas. Now, if this happens, here's what you can say. You can just tell the examiner, you caught me completely off guard with this question. I've never really thought about this before. Okay, and then you can say, having been born a man, it's a daunting task for me to answer this question. So you can say, you caught me completely off guard. But make sure you just use it only once during a speaking test, not when you answer every other question. You caught me completely off guard with this question. Okay, let me see what you have in the chat box. Dahlias, I don't even know this flower. Okay, thank you. All right, so yeah, what flowers do you like, and what flowers do you know? So yeah, and here you can just mention what we have already mentioned. Let's say maybe you can also say daisies. It's another type of flower. Chamomiles. Yeah, I think I just received these questions a few days ago. I haven't really thought about them much. I just wanted to discuss it with the subscribers. So yes, and let's say you can say that these flowers, or whatever flowers you mentioned, you can say they come in a variety of colors. Or they have some kind of they have a wonderful smell, for example. Okay, then you can say that they do not fade away quickly, or do not fade. They don't fade quickly. It would be nice a nice idea to mention. So maybe you can say that they are romantic and passionate. Okay, what's your favorite flower? And here you'll just say, well, like one of the flowers that we mentioned, and well, one of the ideas. That's probably what I can share with you right now. You could say something like, I'm keen on wildflowers as they don't fade quickly, like all other flowers, such as tulips, roses, or chamomile, or daisies. Yeah, do you like flowers? Well, I would say that I'm fairly neutral about flowers, but if you like them, you can say that you like them. I would say that I'm fairly neutral about flowers. Or you could say that they are, if you like them, you can say that they are pleasing to the eye. And they can brighten up a day. Or it can be a sign of gratitude in some cases, gratitude. Or it can be a romantic gesture. Or it's a gratitude with D. So you can also say that it's a way to grab a woman's attention. Or maybe you could say it's a token of affection. Okay. So maybe also, if you want to say that you don't like flowers, you can say that you are allergic to pollen. Yeah, that pollen is double L, I think. There are pollinating birds. They pollinate flowers, or bees. They pollinate flowers, and so you can mention that you're allergic, or you have an allergy, or you're allergic to pollen, and the fragrance is often too strong. So that's why you're not very keen on flowers. Okay, or you might say, in this day and age, it costs a pretty penny to buy flowers, and there is money could be spent in a much better way. Okay, right. Or you could also say that flowers, they drop, I don't know, you can mention like they drop petals, pollen, and leaves. So yeah, you have to clean the room after you bring flowers in them. Okay, so when was the last time you gave flowers to someone? And again, when was the last time? You can use modal verb with perfect infinitive, and you can say something like, it must have been around a fortnight ago. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me see what you have written in the chat box. So lily of the valley smell absolutely heavenly. Okay, yeah, there is also carnations white and red associated with the Soviet legacy. Okay, great. Orchids are exotic. Okay, Elizabeth, could you please answer if it is possible to get a live stream recording? Yes, so this live stream is recorded and it's going to be available here on this YouTube channel. I think it will take a while to process it, but if everything goes well, then this recording is going to be available. So Julia, they are pleasing to the eye and help to escape the drudgery of daily routine. Okay, well, that's just wonderful. Yes, for other participants, Julia has passed CPE exam of proficiency, Cambridge certificate with grade A. So her English is really nice. That's actually above band 9 in IELTS. So all these expressions are really nice. So now, when was the last time you gave flowers to someone? You can say it must have been around a fortnight ago, and you can mention some kind of an event like a birthday or anniversary or wedding or let's say housewarming party. A housewarming party, for example. Or graduation ceremony or International Women's Day that is celebrated only in Russia. Then have you sent flowers to others? Again, so it's probably same type of ideas that you can answer. So yeah, like there was a wedding or some kind of anniversary or a birthday, and you sent them to someone. Or you can also use a causative construction. I had them delivered. Yeah, so to have flowers. I had the flowers delivered to my, I don't know, friend or whatever. So then, have you ever planted any flowers? So here you could mention, well, first of all, if you plant any flowers, then you probably plant them in a flower bed, or possibly in a greenhouse or a hotbed, or hothouse is called in a greenhouse. So yeah, and then when you planted the flowers, what you did was you were weeding them. You know, there are some plants that are not very good, and you just weed them. So they are called weeds, and you weed them. So that's what you do with flowers, and you watered them. What else do you do when you grow flowers? Yes. Do you like to have flowers in your home? Okay. Here's a good expression. Mostly you use it for photos, but you can say that a vase of blah 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 flowers takes pride of place in my lounge. Pride of place. It means it's in the very center, and take pride of place in my lounge. Yes, and they give a wonderful scent. They instantly add beauty to the room, or they instantly change the look of a room. They brighten the space. Or you can say they breathe new life into the room, or they enhance the interior, for example. They trigger pleasant memories. They enable you to escape from the hustle and bustle of the city. They give a room a whole new look, and so on. Okay, let me see if there is anything else. Okay, great. So where can you buy flowers? So, well, of course you can buy flowers online now, but the examiner probably would expect some topical vocabulary. So flower shop is called the florists. So you can buy them at the florists, or maybe there is a special flower stall, or even a flower market. So this is where you can buy flowers. Okay, now sky and stars. Well, yeah, this topic was used a couple of years ago, so I think I'll be a bit more knowledgeable about this type of topic. So if you want to mention sky and stars, then you probably need words like constellation. Constellation, that's a group of stars, and this is the very first word that comes to my mind. So that's constellation. Then maybe a comet, a rainbow, moonlight, the Milky Way. Then there is a word for star, an adjective for star would be stellar something. Then celestial light. Twilight. Twilight or dusk, which is a synonym. Dusk. Okay, then you probably, if you know some constellations, you could mention them, like the Lesser Bear, that's the one that I remember, or let's say the Big Dipper. Yeah, maybe some planets like Venus, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Satellites, you could also mention this. Not really advanced, but it's better than nothing. Yeah, and also when you see sky and stars together, there's a word firmament. Firmament. I hope I spelled it correctly. Yeah, it seems like that. This is like sky and stars together when you look at them. So do you like to watch the sky, or do you like to watch the stars? So 2 questions have been reported. Okay, if there are any other ideas, also please write them in the chat box. So you could say, so watching the sky, it's a constant source of inspiration. So it's a source of inspiration. Okay, or you can also, it enables me to steady my nerves. So it amazes me. It again helps me to unwind, to recharge my batteries. It enables me to see beyond where I am right now. Okay, or you could say that you don't like it. It makes me feel bored. I get bored really fast. It makes me think about stuff that I don't want to think about, or something like this. Okay, so what is the sky like at night in your hometown? Well, and they also sometimes, there was another question that was reported recently, is can you see the moon and stars where you live? Can you see the moon and stars where you live? So the sky in my hometown, well, sometimes it's clear, and then you can say that it's full of stars, probably full of glittering stars. Yeah, so the sky is starry, or you can also say it's moonlit or moonless. Okay, do you like to watch the stars? We already had this question. Have you ever taken a course about stars? So, well, that's probably an astronomy course. If some of you are fond of astrology, you can also mention this. Then, so it's when you were taking the course, so you probably will mention that you studied astronomy, or you never studied it, but you would like to know more about how solar system works. So here's a word, solar system. Yeah, so you want to learn to keep precise track of the seasons. You want to learn information about distant past and future of Earth, the Sun, and the whole universe. Or you could say, I have never taken it, but I would love to. Now, is it important to study the stars? So yeah, it's you want to, because it's crucial, because you manage to, because it helps you to understand how our solar system was formed. Yeah. Or you want to know how stars and planets influence people's life. Like, you know, there are tides in rivers, and so it's influenced by, you know, the moon or the stars. So yeah, you want to know how planets influence people's lives. All right. Yeah, and what's your favorite star? Yeah. So Julia, as much as I love flowers, I am not fortunate to have green fingers, so I wouldn't risk planting any. Okay. Yeah, to have green fingers, or to have a green thumb, that's also a nice expression. Yeah, a myriad of shimmering lights in the night sky, aurora borealis, or the northern lights. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good word. So you can say, like, having been born in St. Petersburg, or wherever, maybe if you live in the north of Russia, you can say that you enjoyed watching these a couple of times in your life. All right, and now, what's your favorite star? The easiest way probably to answer this question is to say that your favorite star is the sun, because the sun is the star. And then you will have something to talk about, because I don't know, maybe you know some other stars, but I don't really know them. So you can say, well, this is the closest star to Earth. And this is the most influential celestial body. The most influential celestial body. So it's a source of energy. You can talk about this. This is the largest object in our solar system. And you could use a conditional sentence here. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for the sun. And you can continue, like, something would not be able to happen or to have happened. We would die if it weren't for the sun, something like this. Let's say you can also mention Polaris, or the northern star. So it's one of the brightest stars in the night sky. It is approximately above the North Pole. So it can be used to determine the latitude. Of my location on Earth. or it can serve as a compass if I get lost. Okay, or maybe also you can mention Sirius, or the dog star, because its location in the constellation called Canis Major, or the big dog. So it is, well, many times bigger than our sun, and is the brightest star in the sky. It is seen as a life giver. You can also mention this about the sun. And it's regarded as a source of knowledge and power, or it is considered to keep the spiritual world alive. Yeah, something like this. Okay, so this is the topic about stars. And let's do one more topic. Okay, let me see. Light pollution prevents the citizens of metropolises to enjoy the beauty of the starry sky. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Remember this winter I spent in Bali, and there was one day was the silence day. This is when you are not allowed to go out. You're not allowed to use electricity. And what local people did was that they went out on balconies, and they were enjoying the sky, because there were no lights in the city, and it gets dark at 7:30 already. So in the evening you can enjoy the beautiful the beautiful sky, and there are no lights in the city. So you're like in the middle of the field or a meadow or something. All right, so, and one more topic that I would like to discuss that's today, that's the topic of barbecues. So yeah, if you talk about barbecues, okay, let me. So if you talk about barbecues, you probably will want to mention grilled food, that you cook something over a live fire. And you probably will need some types of meat, such as, well, these ones, beef, but you need some collocations, like you can say marble beef, then maybe mutton, veal, then venison. This is deer meat. What else? Maybe there are some other types. Pork, probably. And then, of course, some equipment for cooking barbecue, and that's skewers. These are the sticks which you use for cooking barbecues, for making barbecues. All right, so do people in your country like barbecue? So if you take your exam in the middle of May, you can just mention this, that, well, in Russia in early May, there is a tradition, and many people have barbecues outside in the or outdoors. So you could also say that cooking over a live fire is, you probably can say in our blood, but it sounds better to say if it's in our DNA. Cooking over a live fire is in our DNA. Yeah, and then barbecues, they turn food preparation and cooking into a social event. Yeah, it gets everyone outdoors, and grilled food tastes awesome. Something like this. And then, what kind of food do you like to eat at barbecues? And here you can mention types of meat, types of fish, like, I don't know, trout, salmon, any types of fish that is applicable here. Some vegetables like aubergines, let's say, or eggplants in American English. then cheese slices or prawn skewers, or maybe corn on the cob. Cob, that's an advanced word. Or anything like hot dog rolls, burger buns, bananas, or whatever comes to your mind. All right. So these are the questions that we have at the moment, that they just appeared in the beginning of May. Now, yeah, if you want to receive the full list of questions, then you can follow this link. I'll copy this here. Yeah, if you follow this link, then you'll be able to get the list of questions that I constantly update. By the middle of May, I expect to have the complete list of questions for the current season, for May to August. Okay, and if there are any other ideas or any questions, you have just about 1 more minute. Please write them in the chat box. And then if not, then thank you all for participation. It was very nice to exchange ideas with you. I hope you found this live stream useful, and I'll notify you when I have some time to have this live stream again.